So while on my walk today, I listened to an audio essay that completely shifted my perspective on AI, on ways to take back autonomy and agency in the age of artificial intelligence and what's coming for humanity. And I caught a guy being really creepy. So let's talk about it. So yeah, I think I want to start with the creepy guy because I'm still like, I would not necessarily say that I'm shaken up by it, but I am still really angry because why can't men just be normal? I'm telling you, something is wrong, y'all. Something's wrong with the men. So, okay, backstory. I decided to take a walk today because I just needed to get some energy out. It's a beautiful day and like the breeze is gorgeous. I have my windows open in my house. I was like, all right, let me go on ahead and get my steps in. So I head out on my walk. And the streets in my neighborhood, they all have like a lot of like roundabouts. And in the midst of those roundabouts are grassy knolls or like one area there's like a kids park, and so it's actually really nice to walk because you've got some greenery, right? People are walking their dogs. It's great. So I go on my walk and I've been walking for about 35 minutes or so as I turn around this really large roundabout to get back on my street to walk home. And as I'm walking, I look over to my left and I see this man. And he immediately, as soon as I saw him, he goes, like he immediately like turns. And okay, it's one thing if you catch someone's like, you get caught staring. Um, the normal, quote unquote, like the normal thing to do would be to kind of play it off, or, you could say hi. Like I was almost expecting him to be like, oh, Buenos tardes, hi, good afternoon, right? And then like go back to what he was doing. Because I noticed that he had one of those work vests on, you know, and he had one of those sticks that has like the little pincher at the end so that you can pick up trash, right? So I noticed like he's working. Okay, cool. But why is he being so weird? Y'all. As I'm walking, I noticed that he is trying to hide. He's trying to hide himself. He's stepping behind a tree. But is still looking, but he's like hiding behind the tree and kind of looking and hiding and looking. Yeah. So I got to a point where I crossed the street on the other side, right? Because with these roundabouts, there's like little outlets that'll take you to different streets. So I have to cross to get on the other side in order to walk back home. And I look at him again, and he's looking again, but he's like trying to hide, but but look at the same time. I'm like, at that point, I started to get angry because I'm like, what are you doing? At that point, I'm like, okay, this guy's creeping me out. He's kind of like I'm laughing about it now to offload how uncomfortable it made me feel. But at the time, I instead of freezing like I used to when I was a kid and men would make me uncomfortable, I now get angry. And so what I decided to do was whip out my phone and I recorded him. And I'm debating whether or not to put the clip in here. It's a short clip, maybe all of 5 seconds, 5-10 seconds, but it's enough because you'll see in the clip how he's literally trying to hide behind this tree. And I'm like, why are you being weird, sir? Now instead of it being a moment where you catch somebody looking and you kind of like play it off and you go about your business, now that you're trying to hide and you're being weird, now I think you're up to some weird stuff. Now I'm starting to think you're a creep. Now I'm starting to think, you know what, in order to protect myself, I need to document this. And so I did. Um And then, I made my way home, but of course, I made sure that my earbuds that have like the outside audio too, where you can hear everything going on besides what you're listening to. And, I had my head on a swivel the rest of the time that I walked home. But it was just this really awkward, really strange moment, you know? And, to be fair, like I did not approach him. I did not speak to him, but I did document for my own safety. And I would say, ladies who live alone, travel alone, whatever, um, when you have moments like that, obviously use your best judgment, be safe. One of the things I did while I was out today was I kept my it's like a AirTag, Apple AirTag on my key and on my phone so that it tracks where I'm going. And then of course I had my phone and I just whipped out the camera. But that said, stay safe, right? And honestly, he's not someone that I see every day. And I'm more leaning towards this being a one-off rather than a consistent issue. This was the first time I'd seen this man. But he was just being so y'all, he was being so weird. And then I was just like, let me go on ahead and record this just in case, right? Anyway, so that was my awkward man story. But the other thing, the real story here is that while I was on my walk, I listened to an essay by Shae, Shae, and her at on YouTube is I am Shae. And her platform is, now I'm looking at my notes because I want to make sure I get this right, right? But her platform is dedicated to critical thinking in the age of AI. And her essay is called Something Bigger Than AI is Happening. You've Been Warned. And so I'm listening to this and I'm riveted because I'm like, holy smokes. Um, anyway, let me get into it. The premise of the essay is that AI is not to blame for the lack of critical thinking that we are experiencing as a society. It's just accelerating it. So I want to read a little excerpt here. Let me move this out of the way so I can see it. Okay. This is an excerpt from the article. It says, if the pandemic taught us anything, it is that history sometimes moves in what feels like suddenly moments. One month you're living normally, you're planning holidays, continuing to work, arguing about trivial politics, and the next month the entire world is locked indoors. Social norms are rewritten overnight, and the future feels permanently altered. What I'm arguing here is different, and in some ways more concerning. This has not been a sudden rupture, but a slow, almost imperceptible cognitive drift that began with the rise of the internet and has been quietly reshaping how we read, think, argue, and understand reality for more than 4 decades. AI did not start this process. AI is accelerating it. And if we do not recognize that distinction, we risk preparing for the wrong future. Talk about an incredible opening, okay? So, in this article, Shae kind of goes into her thesis, and then towards the end, she gives suggestions that push back against what she calls the great cognitive decline. All right. Um, and so I'm reading this or listening to this while I'm walking, and then I come home and I look at it again, I read it again, and I'm like, what what are some ways? What can I do? So one of the things that she suggests, and I'm just going to place it here because I want to document it correctly. She suggests to create analog zones for deep thinking. All right. These are reading or writing hours, writing in physical notebooks, reading physical books, allowing time for reading, writing, reflection, and conversation. She says research on attention consistently shows that uninterrupted cognitive stretches are where synthesis and insight most often occur. Yet contemporary digital environments rarely encourage those stretches unless we carve them out ourselves. And so, y'all, I have an idea. Hearing all of this, considering my own limitations, I'm an ADHD girly. Like I'm constantly, my attention is constantly going in a million different places. And I need some accountability with this. But I'm suggesting all of this because I feel like this is another element, this is another pillar in the fight for our own autonomy and agency as women, as people, but especially as women, right? It feels like we have so many different things coming at us. One would be the AI, scrolling, all of these things, screen time, and having agency over your own time and attention. It feels like that's kind of the fight of the future, right? Besides the fight that it feels like we're fighting again for our own bodily autonomy. This is a part of the bodily, in my opinion, a part of the bodily autonomy conversation, the bodily agency conversation. So here's what I want to do. I want to do a bi-weekly reading slash journaling slash like sitting together and doing nothing time here on my YouTube channel. So every 2 weeks, here's what I'm thinking. Every 2 weeks, I go live on YouTube and I meet with you guys to have a moment where we just sit and either read a physical book, you can journal, you can knit, you can sit and stare out the window. But the goal is to have this accountability time where we basically just set up the YouTube, set up your computer, whatever, and then you turn away from that thing and you get your book and we read together. Right? We read together for the hour. And I think that this is like a way, again, for us to practice agency over our time and attention. So, like, let me know. Would this be something you'd be interested in? I'm saying biweekly right now because that's what I can commit to. I'm actually going to be out of town. I'm traveling again this coming weekend. So I don't want to start that this weekend, that process. So I would start the following weekend, but just like starting small and having 1 hour during the week to sit with your book, with your notebook. If you are doing this YouTube challenge like me, maybe that can be time that you sit and write out some ideas for your videos. Um, if you are a business owner, a small business owner, maybe that's time that you sit and ideate, right? Or read a book on becoming a more successful entrepreneur. I don't know. The point is to have that time where you're not scrolling on your phone, you're not scrolling on TikTok, you're not doing and I need it too, right? I need the accountability and I love the body doubling aspect of it as well. So if you're interested, let me know in the comments. I'm thinking Saturdays around 1 p.m. Mexico City time, which as of right now is 1 hour behind Eastern Standard Time. So, fun fact about Mexico, she don't do that spring forward, fall back anymore. We have one one time to deal with for the rest of the year. So as of right now, because we're still in fallback mode, we are 1 hour behind Eastern Standard Time. So around 1 p.m. Mexico City time, Saturdays is what I'm thinking. If that is just, if you're not feeling it, again, put that in the comments. We'll see what we can do. But yeah, again, like if you are new here, again, I don't know why I said again, because I don't think I've introduced myself yet. Let me do that. If you're new here, my name is Siobhan. I am a 40-something Black American woman who is living abroad, and I talk about solo travel, relocation, and building a life with more agency. And I firmly believe that taking back our time and attention is a great way to bring in more agency into our lives. Cool, cool. All right, y'all. I will see you tomorrow.